Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we have a massive report to talk about. Grogu is reportedly confirmed to appear in the Book of Boba Fett. Reputable outlet Star Wars Newsnet have reported on this, stating that they've heard our little green guy is going to appear, and based on previous rumours, it sounds like he's going to feature somewhat prominently. Now if you think back to earlier in the year, this was one of those rumours that was floating around quite early, and on April the 2nd I even made a video talking about it, but at the time the sources reporting on this were a bit sketchier, whereas now my dear friends we have two credible sources, Star Wars Newsnet and Bespin Bulletin, who are both saying that Grogu is indeed in the Book of Boba. Some of the crew merchandise had Grogu on it, and we spoke about this back in May. And now, Star Wars Newsnet are saying that they've reached out to their sources, who confirmed that Grogu is going to make an appearance, and wasn't just used as a crew logo. Grogu is yet another rumoured addition to the Mandalorian spin-off show, and his appearance inevitably implies that Luke Skywalker is also going to show up, given that Grogu is currently with him. Back in April, Cinelinx reported that Djarin would make an appearance, something confirmed by Total Film a couple of days ago, and to add to this, Cinelinx later said that according to their sources, multiple fan favourites from The Mandalorian are going to appear as well. In their report, Bespin Bulletin say that they've heard a handful of names are going to appear in the series, but Grogu and Din seem to be more or less 100% confirmed. Now I also want to bring up some more proof that Grogu is confirmed. A recent development is that Lucasfilm asked for 450 Grogu statues to be made for the crew of the Book of Boba Fett. Why would they have asked for Grogu specifically for the Book of Boba if he's not going to be a big part of the show? Hookup Tattoo states, "I was asked to design a wrap gift for the crew of the Book of Boba. What an honour." He then reveals 450 were ordered and they look really incredible. Now going back to Bespin Bulletin's article, they finish by saying if everything they've heard is true, then fans are in for a treat with the Book of Boba Fett, and Robert Rodriguez comments about the series quote-unquote over-delivering doesn't seem too far-fetched. And this is absolutely right, it sounds like the series is going to bring back many fan favourites who will contribute or have contributed to Boba's story. Now, I should address that a lot of fans are worried that appearances and cameos are going to ruin the story and take away from the fact that this is Boba Fett's big return. Personally, I would argue the opposite. A Boba Fett series like the Book of Boba that focuses on his life, where he's been and where he's going, needs to include familiar faces and characters who influenced who he is and who he's going to run into after escaping the Sarlacc pit. We will no doubt also get new characters, new species and planets as well. That's inevitable in all Disney Star Wars, but sprinkling in some familiar bounty hunters and characters from The Mandalorian in no way takes away from Boba and his journey. In fact, they just contribute to it. And while we know the show is going to be distinctly different in terms of tone, for example it's not going to have the western feel of The Mandalorian, but rather the tone of a gangster movie, it is still a spin-off of The Mandalorian, and we cannot forget that. The showrunner himself, Robert Rodriguez, has said that the show bridges the gaps between The Mandalorian Season 2 and 3. How they will do this while still focusing on Boba and making it all about Boba's story, I don't know. But both things can be true at the same time. It can still be a spin-off of The Mandalorian, while also being predominantly about Boba's big return. The way they'll do this, I suspect, is that characters from The Mandalorian who are going to appear are going to connect to Boba's story as opposed to stealing the spotlight for themselves. It won't be about their narratives, but rather how they contribute to Boba's journey. For example, if Djarin shows up, they'll set aside the story of the Darksaber, Mandalore and Bo-Katan, and the way Din factors into Boba's story is that he helps him as an ally. So these characters are part of Boba's story without it being about their narratives and where they're going, but at the same time there could be a bit of that, because there is always the possibility of overlap. Now to add to this Grogu leak, Cinelinx editor-in-chief and renowned leaker Jordan Mason has chimed in by stating that who Grogu is going to be with is pretty cool too. Now we all assume that he means Luke Skywalker, given that Grogu is training with him at this point, but he did not specify. And my question is, are we going to be thrown a curveball? In either case, I don't think Grogu is going to remain with Luke for very long, and it's very likely he's going to return to Din before we know it. Now, I think a possibility is the fact that Grogu is going to appear in the Book of Boba Fett, but not in the majority of The Mandalorian Season 3. But instead of having 2 years without any Grogu, what they'll do is include him in the Book of Boba Fett, so that come Season 3, we don't wonder where he is. I'm not saying they're going to exclude Grogu from The Mandalorian Season 3, he is definitely going to appear, but it probably won't be in the first half of the season. So let me know your thoughts of this in the comments down below, and let's move on to our next topic. We're going to stay on the subject of the Book of Boba Fett and take a look at Ming-Na Wen's interview with Entertainment Weekly. We touched upon it briefly yesterday, where she said that the Book of Boba Fett is going to feel like The Godfather. Ready, Fett, go. Ming-Na Wen talks suiting up for the Book of Boba Fett. And just before we start, guys, Ming-Na Wen is an absolute gem. I love her passion for Star Wars. She is first and foremost a Star Wars fan, and she is truly a bright star in this franchise. Ming-Na Wen completed the Disney trifecta. She voiced Disney Princess Mulan in the original animated film, she kicked butt as a Marvel hero, and crisscrossed the galaxy as a Star Wars mercenary, Fennec Shand. So when the studio reached out about bringing Fennec back, this time as a series regular, Wen naturally said yes. She had assumed they wanted her for The Mandalorian Season 3, and bear in mind they made all of the actors in the Book of Boba Fett believe that the show was going to be The Mandalorian's next chapter in what they assumed to be Season 3. It wasn't until after she signed the contract that she discovered that it was for something much bigger. She would be headlining alongside Temuera Morrison in the Book of Boba Fett, the much anticipated spin-off series that debuts in just over 2 weeks' time. In Ming-Na Wen's own words, she says it's just blind trust with Disney and everyone at this point. I've been with them so long that I just figure I'm being taken care of, and perhaps it's no surprise then that Wen has learned to trust the process. After all, she initially joined The Mandalorian for just one single episode, and she had no idea just how popular her character was, and she never expected to make a return. So when she learned on set that she and The Mandalorian showrunner Dave Filoni attended the same Pittsburgh high school, she began campaigning hard for the resurrection of Fennec Shand. She jokingly said, "Come on, you've got to figure something out." Evidently, Filoni agreed. He revived Fennec by explaining that she'd been rescued by Boba Fett himself. Now the very much alive pair are setting off on their own adventure. Like The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett picks up right after the original trilogy, 5 years after Return of the Jedi. But as Ming-Na Wen describes, Boba Fett is more like a take on gangster movies and less like the Western style of The Mandalorian, even if it is a spin-off. And then Ming-Na speaks of her childhood and how she related to the journey of Luke Skywalker in the original trilogy. And as I say, my dear friends, she is a true Star Wars fan. And so seeing her as a star in her own Star Wars series is truly spectacular and inspirational. And I love the fact that she's also in The Bad Batch and set to return in The Bad Batch Season 2. And at this point, my dear friends, Fennec Shand has implemented herself as a fan favourite Star Wars character. Her look, her smirk, her attitude, everything is just perfect. So while we focus on Boba returning in the Book of Boba Fett, we can't forget his new partner in crime, Fennec Shand. And I suspect the story is really going to develop her character and show us maybe a bit about her backstory. Ming-Na Wen recently said that there is a lot about her past that is yet to be explored, and I think eventually we're going to see who her mentor was, how she cultivated her skills, and the importance she's going to have moving forward in the Star Wars story. And she finishes the interview with a very inspirational, "That's the message I think Star Wars gets across. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to a farm boy on Tatooine feeling like he has no hope whatsoever of getting off that planet. With Mulan, it's the same thing. She felt like she would never amount to anything except disappointment, and in the end, she becomes the hero." It's those stories that I really believe in. We are truly honoured to have Ming-Na Wen in the Star Wars universe as one of the most badass assassins, Fennec Shand. So as I say, just over 2 weeks away, 17 days. And I really miss doing full episode breakdowns. I love the Bad Batch season. I love doing it for The Mandalorian Season 2. And in just a matter of weeks, I will be doing it for every single episode of the Book of Boba Fett. We're going to share the joy, share the excitement, share all of the emotions that it brings. And I'm honoured that you guys are there with me for that ride. So make sure that you're subscribed, hit the notification bell. If you enjoyed this video, give me a big fat thumbs up. And if you want to contribute to the channel, get more videos that are not found here on YouTube, and also be part of our Discord community, then click the link down there in the description. That is where you will find my Patreon. I'm so honoured to have such an incredible community. Thank you all for your amazing support. We're currently on the road for 100,000 subscribers, and hopefully we'll get there in the next few months. But until the next one, my dear friends, have an amazing day, no matter where you are in this galaxy. Share your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.